Welcome, everyone, to the most significant XRP update of the year, and maybe even the decade. This isn't just any news you're about to hear. This is a moment in crypto history that will change the game and define the age. Congress has done something that has never been done before. An emergency vote passed by a vote of 389 to 12, making it mandatory for every U.S. bank to hold XRP by the end of this week. Yes, that's right, by legislation. What was previously thought to be a risky digital asset is now going into the vaults of the most powerful banks in the United States. We start with the facts. In a rare emergency meeting on Capitol Hill, lawmakers passed a broad resolution in response to what they called a national liquidity risk in decentralized markets. The XRP Liquidity Resilience Act, as it is known unofficially, says that all federally regulated banks must start maintaining a reserve of XRP as a strategic liquidity asset. The vote total was 389 in favor and only 12 against. It was bipartisan, quick, quiet, and utterly huge. People on Capitol Hill say that the law was written in secret over the course of several months, with help from a working group made up of high-ranking officials from the Federal Reserve, the Treasury Department, and several financial companies. What is its main goal? To employ XRP's decentralized ledger and quick settlement technology. As a buffer when there are systemic liquidity events, the U.S. has now formally added XRP to its emergency liquidity mechanism. While this is going on, panic has taken over the boardrooms of New York and San Francisco's skyscrapers. Reports say that JP Morgan, Chase, Citigroup, and Bank of America are all trying to buy billions of XRP. JP Morgan has set aside $5 billion in cash to quickly meet its reserve requirement. Sources indicate they are leveraging OTC marketplaces, XRP Ledger, native DEX, and even direct peer-to-peer institutional trades to get the asset. There are less than 4 days left before the law goes into effect. The institutions are going crazy. We are seeing what could be the biggest occurrence in history where a lot of people acquire the same crypto asset at the same time. Why? The answer is quickness and fairness. XRP settles in 3 to 5 seconds, doesn't consume much energy, and isn't owned by any one country. In a world with many poles, it's the perfect neutral bridge currency for banks and regulators. This event has shocked the crypto community, but much more crucially, it has changed the regular financial sector overnight. We need to understand how big this buy-in is as we move forward. XRP Ledger data shows that institutional wallets that had been inactive for a long time, some of which date back to 2017, are now active and trading millions of XRP in a matter of minutes. Cold wallets, exchanges, and custodial services are all working at full speed. The books are growing thinner, slippage is going higher, and liquidity is going down. What will happen if all the banks need XRP and there isn't enough to go around? Prices go over the roof. This brings us to the idea of a supply shock, the golden grail of price spikes in the stock market. When demand outstrips the available supply, that's called a supply shock. This is different from demand-driven rallies, which might be short-lived and based on speculation. There are 100 billion XRP coins, however, only some of them can be used. Ripple Labs owns over half of it, while the remainder is spread out among long-term holders, exchanges, and now banks. There isn't much of a net liquid circulation supply. The banks are taking it away quickly. There is now $2 billion in open short positions betting on XRP at prices below 70 cents, which makes the pressure much worse. These traders, hedge funds, quant desks, and day traders that are too heavily leveraged are going to lose a lot of money. As XRP prices go up past the point where they may be sold, people who are shorting XRP have to buy it at market price to offset their losses. What happened? A classic case of a short squeeze. It's one of the biggest things we've ever seen in crypto, and it's not happening in a vacuum. This is happening at the same time as institutional accumulation, which analysts are now dubbing a dual pressure cooker. This is where we do a historical comparison. The law that took gold away, Executive Order 6102, signed by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, said that all residents have to give their gold to the federal government at a set price. Why? To let the Treasury use gold to support the dollar and fight the Great Depression. That edict changed the world's money system in a big way. Today, no one is taking XRP away, but the opposite is happening. The government is making banks collect it. This isn't about people. It's about planning for systemic liquidity, backing assets, and being able to handle the digital age. Now that we have everything out of the way, let's speak about price potential. Is it possible for XRP to reach $69? This is how the math works. If each of the 4,000 institutions in the US had to hold $500 million in XRP, that means there is a demand for $2 trillion. If there is $2 trillion in demand, XRP may go up to well over $100 per coin with the current supply. If only $200 billion of institutional money goes into XRP in the next few weeks, that would be a conservative estimate. A price of $69 is not only plausible, it may be unavoidable. especially if short sellers keep getting liquidated and regular investors keep buying. But we need to be balanced. There are real dangers. There is a chance of regulatory whiplash. Even if there is a lot of pressure on the SEC, they might try to file a lawsuit at the last minute to slow down the rise of XRPs. Technical problems like network congestion, exchange failures, or security holes could make the market nervous. Market makers might make spreads too large, which would make it harder for regular traders to get in. Finally, political upheaval could cause confusion. If a new government repeals this law, but none of these concerns have come true as of today, what should the ordinary person that owns crypto do in terms of strategy? First, don't buy in a panic. Instead, take a look at your situation. Build up your holdings in a responsible way. Look into cold storage options. Research the ledger activity. Learn how to understand institutional wallet behavior. And most importantly, stay informed. Because the next 72 hours will be some of the most tumultuous in crypto history. You should subscribe to channels like this one. Knowledge is more than just power. It's also a way to keep your money safe. Let's take a step back and speak about the big picture now. The US isn't doing things in a vacuum. There are rumors that the European Central Bank and the Bank of Japan are keeping a close eye on this XRP development. If the US is able to add XRP to its liquidity reserves, other big economies might do the same. This might lead to a new Bretton Woods moment, when the world agrees on a new way to define money for the digital age, not with gold, but with digital assets that can work with each other, like XRP. To sum it up, here's what you should remember. In less than 2 years, XRP has gone from a cryptocurrency with a lot of lawsuits to an asset that the government requires institutions to own. It's a change that has never happened before. Banks are purchasing billions. Short sellers are losing money. Congress is drafting emergency laws, and supply is running out. XRP might not be only a digital currency anymore. It might be the new base for global liquidity. You're ahead of 99.9% of the world if you can see this video. Today, choose your position intelligently. Thanks for viewing this deep dive. If this made you think, hit like. Tell someone who still thinks XRP is just another altcoin, and sign up since we're just getting started with our coverage of this huge change.